Hello, this is Doug Walker, and I bet you're wondering what the hell am I doing, doing a commentary on this video? Well, I have a very, very good reason. First of all, I should explain that one of the reasons you're seeing this commentary is you might have heard I got a virus that took a long time to get rid of. It's a real nasty one. There's some issues with the website and stuff like that. Then I also have Disney-cember, so all these things were setting me back, and I apologize I haven't had a chance to do sort of the usual Ask That Guys and bum reviews and so forth. But you're still getting your nostalgia critics and, who is it? Disney-cember, so just explain that. Alright, what the hell am I doing talking about this? Well, as many of you probably know, this video was not a big hit, and a lot of people really, really disliked it. And I think it's very important to talk about what to do, how to handle a failure, just as well as how to handle a success. Because you can have a ton of successes, and great, people love you for it, but once you have a failure, you have to know how to handle it, because if you keep getting successes, you're fine, but once you have a failure, and you don't handle it well, and you handle it very poorly, you can lose an audience forever, potentially, and it'd be very, very hard to get them back, if ever. So, I think it's very important to talk about that, and this video, I was not satisfied with when I was done shooting it. I was really just sort of hoping and praying that maybe, that there's just something there that maybe I'm not seeing, that maybe people will like it anyway, because there are times where I've put out videos that I felt, wasn't my strongest or wasn't as good as it could be, but people still enjoy them. So you always sort of take that risk, and you probably hear over and over, there's so many times where a producer, or comedian, performer, whatever, won't know what's going to be a hit or not. Sometimes a lot of things we think are going to be phenomenal turn out to be big bombs, and a lot of things we think are going to be big bombs turn out to be big hits. So when the reason this did not turn out so well, originally when I wanted to do this, I want to do this like actually the first year I started doing Nostalgia Critic, because I saw these Let's Plays. And I started figuring, well, that'd be Nostalgia Critic doing a Let's Play. That sort of be fun. And I actually did it very shortly after, the first 4 or 5 videos I did, and I did a Let's Play. But the software, the camera, the audio didn't record for whatever reason. So, and I did the whole thing live, did all the way through, and I had to scream and yell and stuff like that, so... Alright, so decided I gotta do it all over again. My voice is kind of sore, but I'll try it again. And I did again. At that point, the video recording software didn't work. It glitched out on me, and I finally just said, "Okay, I'm done. My voice is gone, and blah blah blah. I'll do it another time." And that was always sort of the idea, is that if I ever got too busy with stuff, or I had too many trips or something, that this could be sort of a fast, easy video I could do that could also be entertaining. Well, I was half right. It was fast and easy, but it wasn't very entertaining. And I think part of that is that, when I first tried recording this and it didn't work, I mean, that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I think something you have to keep in mind when you have an idea that you're really proud of, but you take a very, very, very long time to get to it, you have to keep aware whether or not it's still fresh, it's still new, and if it still works, because chances are a lot of other people are gonna get to it. And now, I don't think anyone's done a Let's Play of Bart's Nightmare, but certainly sort of a lot of this yelling and getting angry and stuff like that, I mean, these have been seen in a lot of Let's Plays. And when I was first starting it off, it wasn't as common when I first tried to record it. And I didn't update. I didn't keep track of enough Let's Plays to see that this happens all the time. This is sort of just really old news and not as funny. It's just sort of been done to death. On top of that, there's not really much detail to it to make it very, fascinating Let's Play as well. And something I think a lot of people sort of misinterpreted, which I do want to make very clear, is that when I was making the joke in the opening, all Let's Players do is, if that's even the term, all these people do Let's Plays do is they just play a game and talk during it. Well, that's easy, I can do that, blah, blah, blah. The idea behind that was to show that it was not easy, and I get very frustrated and I can't make it all the way through. It was not to say, Let's Players have no talent, there's nothing to it. That was the joke, is that the Nostalgia Critic doesn't know any better, and he's a moron, he doesn't know what he's getting himself into. And I chose Bart's Nightmare because it's actually not that horrible a game. It can get very difficult at times, but I chose it more because there's so many various levels that you can do, and when you do lose, it's very humorous, and there's so many various ways that you can die, and you can lose, and you can mess up rules and such, so I thought it'd be a good choice, but again, as Let's Plays go, it's not a horrible game, really, and that's another thing that really worked against me. Rather worked for me. It's supposed to work against me, but it was actually too helpful. So when I did this when I had, oh, what was it? Did I do the New York trip yet? No, yeah, I think I had the New York trip coming up. I had the Austria trip. I just went on a vacation as well, and I had a con. I mean, so all these things were going on. And, you know, no, I take it back. The New York trip wasn't in there. But it was a con, it was a vacation, and it was the Austria trip. I mean, that's about 2 to 3 weeks of being preoccupied, and you have to just, you know, I'm a sucker for deadlines. I don't like missing deadlines. I like to get things out. I don't like, you know, people being disappointed or not getting a video. So I really, really try hard to squeeze things out. And this is a time where it actually really, really worked against me. Because a lot of times when I've put out videos and they've been rushed, it's still like, well, it's still a Nostalgia Critic video, and people, you know, can respect that and still like it. But with this is the time it really backfired. And I know there's a lot of people coming to me at cons and stuff and say, I like the Let's Play, I don't know what the problem is. That's great, thank you for the support. I don't like it. I think that's really sort of the thing about it, is that when I put it out there, I was saying, I don't think this is good. I don't know if this is going to work, but let me try it. You know, it's still a risk, you know, but that's the business of taking risks, is that a lot of times they don't work, and it's even harder when you think it's not gonna work and then it turns out it doesn't, but you did anyway, and that's the worst, because you have nobody but yourself to blame. And those are the toughest ones to deal with, because if I felt, no, this is a good video, this really works, I don't know why so many people are against it. No, I know exactly why they're against it. I know exactly why they didn't enjoy it. So I do understand that. And now, but the interesting thing with that is that the next video after was James and the Giant Peach. And I just got back from the trip from Austria, and I just heard how this video was doing, and just people were hating it, really hating it. And here's the thing with negative comments, or, of course, if it's constructive criticism, anyone in this business, you know, can and should take that. If it's just people saying, you know, oh, this is horrible, it's the worst thing ever, you're worse than cancer, or whatever the, you know, whatever they want to say, usually it doesn't affect you, and you have to know going in you're going to get a lot of that. You're going to get people yelling at you, say, you're the worst, you're, oh my god, and so on and so forth. The only time for me, and I find out with a lot of producers, some producers can get really affected by it. Most of us, I find, we don't really get that affected unless we're in a bad mood. And if we hear those comments on top of the fact that we're just sort of bummed out or things haven't been going our way or whatever, that's when it'll really sort of piss us off and get to us. I remember for some reason I was in a bad mood. Maybe it was because it was being taken so badly. I haven't had a video been taken this badly for a while. But I was just sort of in a bad mood. And I think I just came from Austria too, so I think I had like the jet lag as well, and I was just sort of semi-discombobulated. And I had the idea, and I wanted to do something that really sort of like stuck it to the fans. I was just like, oh god, I mean, for crying out loud, they're getting this entertainment for free, I'm working real hard here, and blah, blah, blah. I'll show them, I'll put together a really clever video. So I start off with the James and the Giant Peach video, and the opening was pretty much the same, where I have this press conference saying pretty much an apology, you know, I'm coming out of like the prison of bad video gamers or something like that. And when I made it up to the point where the bum comes in, it's the same. But then actually, it's not the bum that originally was in there. Originally, I shot Douchey Nitpick. And he was coming up and he was saying, how dare you give us, you know, hours and hours of free entertainment and try your hard to entertain us, and you have one video that bombs. Shame on you, sir. Do you know what it's like to watch you for hours and hours talking about how much I don't like you? Well, then why do you watch it for hours and hours? Shut up, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. And I did this video and I show it to Rob, or just, oh yeah, that'll stick into it, blah, blah, blah. And we watched it, and Rob, through a masterful, you know, thought process, said, show it to Mike first, Mike Machado, the CEO. Because I think it's funny, but we should be safe here. We should really be safe. And I said, okay, all right, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Mike looks it over and pretty much says, I mean, the great thing about Mike is that he'll never say, I mean, almost never say, no, don't run it, absolutely not, are you crazy, blah, blah, blah. He says, you know, I very strongly suggest you don't. And he says, because honestly, I don't think we can get away with this argument anymore, that it's free entertainment, that, you know, we're trying hard, that we're just sort of these, you know, we're just sort of people having fun. Why won't you just have fun with us? As I know, we really have to be taking this seriously, and we have to be taking the fans seriously. And he was absolutely 100% right about it. And the other thing that I really realized about it that, you know, just totally didn't make it work is the fact that I didn't like the video either. So why am I blaming my fans for liking a video that even I didn't enjoy? They have every right not to enjoy it. I guess I was just sort of taken back, and I'm always sort of, again, this is something you just have to get used to, that there are just going to be people that take this stuff so seriously and just will not let up on it, and will just, I mean, just really, really obsess over it, and it's hard to understand, you know, because you just say, aren't there more important things? Is this really hurting you? Really? This is really getting you upset? So you just sort of have to put up with it and just be like, you know what? These are still your fans. These are still people that, you know, if not for them, you wouldn't be doing the job that you absolutely love. So I went back and I recorded this opening where, again, the first half is the same, but then the bum comes up and says, you have to repay your debt, you have to, you know, change it, or no, what am I thinking? You have to actually talk about, you know, something that people want to review, but you never could, and that's how we lead to James and the Giant Peach, which it turns out was perfect, because I did find out a lot of people did enjoy that. That was another one where Lewis sort of sends me an email just like, you know, tread carefully on that, a lot of people really like that movie, and blah, blah, blah. So it actually came perfect right after doing this, because then I have to be nice to the movie, and you can get some good jokes out of that. So I think it's very, very important to know how to handle a bomb. I mean, I shouldn't say a failure, because, I mean, there's going to be people are going to like this. I mean, failure is a pretty strong word. But a bomb, I mean, which is not a much nicer word, but it's something that did not, you know, please the majority of people, and that really is what a bomb is. I mean, there's always going to be one or two people that'll like something that, you know, really doesn't do well, but, you know, the majority did not like it, and I think probably the reason so many of them got upset, like angrily upset, is because they thought I wasn't taking it seriously, and I was trying, but there is true that I did not have the amount of time to do the research on Let's Plays, again, and really see how far it's come. And every once in a while I try to watch one, but I mean, as people sort of know, I'm not really a gamer. I know these games, I know sort of the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo, you know, and a few Wii games or GameCube games and so forth, but not many. And I thought that would sort of work to my advantage, you know, doing bad on a game. And it's your reason, a lot of time, anytime I did something video game related, people really liked it and they got on board for it. And, you know, I think they're okay, but I never got that into them. Like the Bebe's Kids one, I mean, people love that one. I think it's cute, but I mean, people really, really get behind that one. And a lot of reviews I think are just okay. Like people, you know, really, really, really adore. Like the Batman Robin review, honestly, I think is only okay. And that's like almost everybody's favorite. I mean, they just love it. So you never know, and it's, I think what I really drew out of this, that I knew but I think I forgot for a bit, is that you cannot insult your fans. You have to, you can have fun with them, you can play with them, you can do satires and make jokes and stuff, but you can never directly insult them. And honestly, you shouldn't, because again, these are the people that are keeping you doing what you love. If, I mean, I don't care if you have the best manager in the world or whatever, I mean, unless you have a ton of people watching you, you're not going to be able to do this, and you really owe them so much, and to come out insulting them, especially for a video that you yourself don't like, that's not the right move. That's not the right thing to do. And so I think it's always good to, you have to sort of, you have to be able to make fun of yourself, and everybody knows I do that a lot. I love doing that. I think that's a, yeah, it's tremendous fun to do. But you can't do it too much either. You have to do it at just the right amount, and that's hard to figure out because if you do it too much, it sort of looks like you're too hard on yourself, you're being too mean, and it starts to become awkward for the viewer. And you can't go too far with that either. You have to find just the right amount, and unfortunately that takes a lot of trial and error. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Like, my God, this is a long video. So yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's very, very important to know. How stupid of me to get that small bar. I think it's very important to know just how to handle a failure, because if you're ever gonna go into anything, you know, I was gonna say anything entertainment-wise, but no, really anything. You're always gonna fail at something. You're never gonna get everything right. And the best thing to do always is just to learn from it. You can't let it, you know, destroy you. You can't let it, you know, tear you apart. You're gonna have failures no matter what. The point where you really get concerned is if you're having too many failures, if you're getting them in a row. And that's when you really have to be concerned about what you're doing. You have to really start changing things up. Like, I do remember there was a point in my reviews where I could actually feel like I was getting too repetitive and I wasn't keeping it new and fresh anymore, and I had to do something about it. I remember the exact reviews it was. It was, what? It was the Pound Puppies movie and the Pebble and the Penguin. Those two, I reviewed them, and I did the reviews, and I was thinking to myself, this is going to be so funny, this is going to be just like all the other nostalgia critics I've done, you know, cause, you know, I think at a point some people were saying, like, you know, are these getting repetitive? I don't know, and I was like, oh, I'll show them by doing the exact same thing I always do. And that's not what you want. I was sort of trying to go back and find the roots of the nostalgia critic, and that actually was not the problem. I was doing that too much. I was playing something, reacting to it, or playing a movie clip that was very similar to it. And I was just stating the obvious in these reviews. In those two reviews specifically, I recall thinking to myself, this is going to be great. And it was just like all the other reviews. And that's finally when I said, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to lose my audience if I just keep doing this over and over. I have to really spend more time on these jokes, and I have to really, really sort of up the game. Because I think people are going to show it, and people aren't as, you know, I think after a while you sort of think, oh, well, they love me because I'm doing what I'm always doing, but you have to ask yourself, would you love something if it kept doing what it just always kept doing and never added anything new or fresh? So I started to really spend more time on the writing, and honestly, I think this year, 2011, has actually turned out to be one of the better years for the Nostalgia Critic, because I think we have tried so many new things and fresh things. I spent much more time on the writing than I used to. Because after a while, it was sort of turning into just sort of a Mystery Science Theater. Mystery Science Theater slash me just looking puzzled at something slash play a movie clip. And you can't do that. You have to get more creative jokes. You have to do sketches. You have to find new ways of looking at something. You have to, they can't all be outbursts. A lot of them you have to really downplay, or you have to, you know, you can't hate every single movie you see. You have to maybe sort of like it, or find something to enjoy. So keeping it really fresh, you know, stirring it up a bit is important. And that's sort of what I was hoping with this. I was hoping that this would be something where I try it, and it was just, here's something new, because anytime you do something new, it is a risk, because almost always you're gonna find people who are not gonna like it. And, you know, that's fine, and maybe even split. Down the line, or down the road, people sometimes open up to it, and the most verbal, sadly, are the ones that hate something, are negative about it. A good example of that actually is the stuff with the video game nerd, when I was doing the fights and then the final battle and then the brawl and stuff like that. You know, at first people loved it. Well, some people actually thought it was serious for a moment. You know, they got really angry. How dare you call him this? But I think a lot of the people after a while were saying, I think I'm done with this. I don't want to see this go anymore. Come on, you guys gonna have a big fight, blah, blah, blah. And those comments were sort of adding up too, but I sort of felt, no, I think we have something really funny here, and I think we should continue forward with it. And it's like, I guess the majority was positive, but there was like a good 1/3 that was just like, no, I don't like this. No, stop, no more. You know, just knock it off. And again, that's one of the most popular things I've ever done, was just the fights with the video game nerd. And I think sometimes, you know, when time goes by, you know, it shows. I mean, there are times where people won't like something because they're watching it from a certain point of view. They're watching it for a first time, which sometimes can be great, but other times you have to see everything back to back. And I think the Nerd Battle is a great example of that, where when you watch it all together, it's really funny, it's really enjoyable, but if you've been waiting and waiting, you know, for something to come of this, and then you see what it is, and it's not exactly what you expected, sometimes the build-up can backfire. But with, you know, again, with Batman Robin, when that first came out, I mean, that sort of got, you know, people were sort of about it, but I mean, they liked it okay. But again, that's like one of the most memorable. People love to quote it. People love to, you know, watch it over and over. It's one of the most viewed. So it just sort of varies, and you're never going to know for sure. So anytime you take a risk with something new, you have to make sure it's a calculated risk. And I think that was the problem with this. It was not a calculated risk. It was trying something new, but it didn't prepare properly for it. The right way to have done it is either, A, done it when I first wanted to do it. I mean, just sort of drink a lot of water and don't care if my voice got sore, and just do the Let's Plays when it was still sort of a new thing. And that, or if I'm gonna do it again, really do my research, really look into it, see how Let's Plays are being done, and do it from there. Because I think that's one of the main problems, is that this was far too late, and the jokes were just way, way too old. I think sometimes you see directors that sort of do that too. What was that? A great example of people like George Lucas or Martin Scorsese with, you know, the Star Wars prequels, or, oh, what was that DiCaprio Scorsese movie that he wanted to do for years and years, and was actually very actually got forgettable. Gangs of New York, that was it. And when that came out, people were just sort of like, really? This was the movie you wanted to do for like 15, 20 years and stuff like that? But honestly, it shows because it wasn't that updated. All of the stuff had sort of already been done before. And you could even sort of make the argument with Lucas and Star Wars that, you know, and I don't know if the stuff's already been done, but he wasn't sort of keeping track of what people were looking for and what they wanted and how they viewed the trilogy. And maybe he didn't want to. Maybe it's just like, no, you know what? I have the story. I want to tell it, and he made it. Good for him. But, you know, I don't think you can be too shocked when people don't enjoy it or really pan it. I guess even he makes jokes about it, apparently. Every time you see him on Interview, he seems like a cool guy, actually. I feel so bad making fun of him so much. It's just bad movies, but he seems really cool, and he seems pretty smart. But I digress. Like I said, the whole point of this was to show, you know, sort of the best way to handle something that doesn't succeed, because actually I think that's just as important, if not more important, than handling something that's a success. And you always have to be ready for people that are going to not like your work, and they're gonna, you know, make fun of it and really, you know, or get emotional about it. That's always the weirdest thing. That's the hardest thing to get used to, is when people just take it so emotionally. And don't get me wrong, I take my work seriously, I really do, and I work very hard at it, and it takes up so much time, but it's always so fascinating to see these people that are, you know, I do want to say, it's just a movie, or it's just a game, it's just a review, it's just a guy yelling at a camera. And I feel sort of the same way with, you know, people that get angry at, you know, whatever it says, some of these YouTubers are like pop stars or any of that, you know, like Justin Bieber or, you know, or someone like Glenn Beck or something like that. Have you heard what he said today? Have you? Okay, don't watch him then. You know, no, I want to watch him so I can get even more angry at what he's saying. Well, if you get upset, why are you viewing it? You know, they're obviously going to find their crowd. I think the only point where I sort of cracked recently about that, and I usually don't. I think the only time where I got really pissed off was that new Twilight Breaking Dawn. And that did really anger me. But even then, I mean, it is sort of true. It's like, you know what? It's just, we as a society, we get whatever we deserve because we feed it, you know, and we watch it. And if you don't, great. Stop talking about it. Stop. You know, if you're really concerned about this with other people, have conversations with them. I mean, don't force your point of view. Just sort of say what you think of it. Just offer it. Don't shove it in their faces. Don't force it. And I think, again, that's sort of what I was trying to do with the original video that was going to go up talking about this. And you just can't. You can't force it. You can't shove it. The Nostalgia Critic can because it's a character. And I think people do often sometimes confuse that it's supposed to be me. And it's not. It is a character. There's a lot of me in it. And a lot of my opinions are in there. But in terms of, you must hate this because I hate it, that's not true. You know, and anyone that says that, don't believe them. It's your opinion. Enjoy it. If you hate something I do, go ahead and hate it. So... that's probably the only really good part of the video. That's the only part I liked. So, guys, thank you for watching. I apologize for this video. For those that liked it, continue to like it. For those that don't, continue to not. Excuse me. Thank you, and take care.